Hi there. Hey, welcome back. I've got some things for you today. We're going to talk about, believe it or not, the present moment. Seems like we talk about that a lot, but it's a difficult one for most people, especially as we age and as we engage more and more in social media, and especially the social media that is encouraging us to just keep scrolling. That's just information based. But before we get going, as always, we're going to come to the breath in and out through the nose. Longer exhale than inhale. Tongue to the roof of the mouth closed. And we're going to bring attention, awareness to the diaphragm. Why do we do this each time, and how does this connect us with the present moment? Well, the body itself, the body is always in the present moment. It's the mind that projects out and back into past and future, holds all of our different experiences in comparison to the one that we're having now, so it throws us off. Now the body, just the sensory body, can only be right here, right now. Now, I work a lot with people doing polyvagal resets and doing breath work. And of course, all of that ties into mindfulness. But the polyvagal reset and the breath work are the key points in bringing us to the present moment. So simply, a very simple polyvagal exercise is this breathing into the diaphragm, belly breathing. When we are putting our concentration, or at least a sliver of our focus, and that's an interesting point, and I've talked about this in the past, is that focus is not our thinkingness. Focus is our awareness that we can point in different places. Most of us tend to think that our awareness is the thinkingness, but that's because we have concentrated our awareness on the distractions that the mind is always engaging in. And I say distractions because the mind itself is just that very distractible little child that will doom scroll to the end of time, that will get stuck on little attention grabbers and keep going with them, that can watch TikToks at one after another for 4 hours straight. That's simply the mind. And the mind, also, as we get older, it starts to carry more of our history, our past with us. And that mind then pulls in all these previous experiences and these previous occurrences, and is always comparing. Is this moment better than the last time I had a similar experience? Or, hey, I like this kind of experience, let me dive deeper into that. But it's not the true experience. It's just a comparative experience at that point. When we come into the sensory body, then we are anchoring ourselves with our awareness in something that is very, very present. And so when we come into an experience in this moment, also with our focus anchored not within the mind, but within the beingness of the body, so that focus is more in the sensory realm, then the mind can bring in its remembrances and its past, but it doesn't dominate the moment. The moment is about experiencing. We are here as experiencers. That's our purpose. The mind gets it gets into a place of commandeering the moment, and therefore we never do truly experience after age 7 or so, because we come into that I know space, or that comparative space where we've already done something like it or something very similar, and so we're just comparing it to the last time. The younger children, it's the first time every time, the first time for chocolate ice cream, the first time to be on a swing, the first time to, go ice skating, whatever it is. It's a thrill after a thrill after a thrill. And then that comparative mind starts to drop in and say, well, the last time we did this, it was, and then the last time. And we lose that immediacy of when you're experiencing it fully, when you're experiencing it with all of the senses, rather than putting yourself back into a past experience and then projecting something into the future, saying, well, how do I make this experience better than the one that was back then? So anyway, let's practice this breath, the basic breath, continuously. Let's bring it into our daily lives over and over and over again. And just by doing that, that is a polyvagal reset. So the basic breath, again, is just in and out through the nose. Why in and out through the nose? Because the in and out through the nose only stimulates diaphragmatic breathing. Mouth breathing stimulates chest breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing stimulates that parasympathetic response, that safety present moment response, whereas mouth breathing stimulates the sympathetic, which can also turn on the adrenaline, the dopamine, and the cortisol, which all put us into a state of wanting more and a state of rush, a heightened experience rather than a present experience, a beingness experience. And so we get into those cravings of, we want that peak experience over and over again, and that's all we're seeking, is to hit that dopamine. But and we forget that the present moment, when we are living in the eternal now, or the beginner mind, the present moment can be very much a rush, but it's a different kind of rush. It's not that dopamine adrenaline rush. It's that full, broad-ranging experiential rush where you feel multidimensional, where so much more of you is present, and they're generating a deep experience and relationship with all that is right now. And you do literally become more than just this body. You become part of all that is within that experience, and that can only happen by removing the focus from the head, from that comparative place, from that future, past, the judgmental, the labeling, all those things that happen in the head, and into the feeling. And one critical piece of this is that when you are in a state of beingness and you come into experience, you have far less judgment on the experience. By less judgment, you get a much broader experience across the board, and you have less of a I like this, I don't like that. You're not putting them into categories. You're not saying that this is a good one and this is a bad one. It's like, oh wow, this is all experiencing. And you can register whether or not this particular experience is something that you would like to progress into and expand upon, or something that, you know what, this is great and all, but I don't feel like I need to go deeper into it. So, all that is registered within a deeper consciousness, which is then that creative mode, which brings you more of those which you want to expand upon, and fewer of those experiences that you, upon diving into, said, wow, that was great, but I think once is enough. Or maybe just saying that was great, that was something, but it's not something that I need to revisit endlessly. However, when you're in the mind and you're saying, and you're really registering it, you label it, you mark it as something, and it seems to come back to you more frequently than, say, when you just experienced it and you allowed that experience to be all that it needs to be. The mind wants to replay it, say, well, is it really that bad? Oh man, that really, it needs to endorse the label. So let's pull back from the labeling. Let's pull back from the comparisons. Let's pull back from placing ourselves in the future or in the past, saying, well, back, the first time I did this, or the last time I did this, it was, or if I don't do this right, then in the future things will, you start this catastrophic thinking, and that will of course perpetuate whatever it is that you don't want also, because it needs to follow that through. So body-based presence is very powerful in being a creator and in creating the experiences that you prefer to continue to have, and doing so without having all the labels and the thinkingness get in the way. What seems to happen at that point, after you've lived in a way where you've experienced multidimensionally over and over again, you begin to see the transparency of all situations, and you see it in a much bigger, broader way. And actually, it can be a little bit dangerous at first once you start to see the transparency, because you see what others don't. And you're tempted, especially on this ego level, this level of distinguishing the self from the others, that, oh, I see what's happening here. And especially that spiritual ego component, which is like, oh, I'm wiser, or I've got this clairvoyance developed, which it's just a basic beingness, and the mind wants to make it into something more, so that it can place the self in relation to others, And again, I say it's dangerous because you want to let others know that you're seeing the situation in a way that is much broader than they see it. It's just like coming in, to a children's game and watching your children play a game and saying, oh, it's just a game. But the children are so involved in the game that they're like, Dad, shut up. And so that's how you come across is you're trying to spoil others' fun, even when it doesn't look like fun. We're all so invested in this play that be careful not to spoil it for others. Everybody needs their process. So come into this focus where you draw your focus away from the head more and more frequently when you bring yourself into the breath regularly, and it's the nose breath, it's the exhaling longer than the inhale. It just brings you into a deeper presence, and that deeper presence opens things up for you. It keeps you in a multi-sensory experiential place, which is so much more rich than the comparative thinking space that so many people exist in. So I highly recommend doing this, but also when you start to wake up into seeing the truth that is much bigger than maybe what others are seeing, you've got to kind of hold your silence. Let them have their reality. So that's I think what I have to say for today. I hope this was helpful. Please leave me a comment, give me a like, subscribe, all those things. Also, I've got a book. You can look at that. It's in the comments, or it's whatever. It's down somewhere in the below. It's called The Importance of Flying. Look it up on the internet. You can find it. It's got some fascinating ideas within that book, and it's just a book of my own experience and just traveling and being very present, or kind of starting out in a way that wasn't extremely present and then waking up to the presence. That for me it was a little bit more of a shocking experience because I wasn't really prepared for it. I didn't have language or understanding of anything that was happening. So anyway, that's what I have for you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.